हेलो। आवाज आ रही है अपनी? अवनीत, आवाज आ रही है? हेलो। हेलो।
हेलो। ठीक है, मैं लाइव कर।
Yeah, hello everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
Very good morning. How are you?
I'm fine. And how are you?
I'm fine too. God's grace. Thank you so much. And how are you all doing?
Very good.
Wonderful. How are you? I'm afraid the other lady's name I'm not able to see. It just says Eurasia Research.
Yeah, Avneet Kaur.
Amrit, how are
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, I'm good. What about you?
God's grace, I'm well.
Nice.
Thank you. And what about you, Diana? Is it Diana or how do you
Diana, it's Diana Noviarini.
Diana? How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
God's grace, I'm well. Thank you very much. Are we going to wait for more attendees or will we be starting soon on time?
Yeah, we will be starting soon.
Okay, okay. And just to reconfirm, I will be the second speaker. Am I right?
Yeah, you are right. You are
All
right.
right, all right. Just to know the positioning and how much of time, just to know that. That's it. So tell me, Diana, what do you do?
Uh, I'm lecturer for daily basis.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. It suddenly.
I'm a lecturer from State University of Jakarta for daily basis.
Oh, wonderful. So you are speaking to us from Indonesia.
Yes, this is a direct network from Indonesia.
Wonderful, wonderful. I have yet to visit Indonesia. I have visited Malaysia, Singapore, Hong Kong, but I have not come to
Please
Indonesia.
do so. Maybe you should try first Bali.
Yes, you're right. You're right. I should. Probably, I think it'll be lovely to keep your contacts.
Yes, that will be lovely.
And also, if you're coming to Dubai, please do let me know. It'll be lovely to catch up with you if possible.
Yeah. I'm doing current research and I need a foreigner researcher to collaborate in the research. Maybe I could get your phone contact number.
It
Maybe you
would be a
can chat.
pleasure to.
Yeah,
It would be a pleasure to keep in touch.
yeah. We need foreign researchers to collaborate and elaborate in research and to visit each other's countries.
Oh, I see. I see. That's very interesting to know. And what is your field?
My field is information technology and social sciences.
All right. Okay. Okay. Great
How
field.
about you, Miss? I'm sorry, I didn't catch up your name.
Sita.
Sita. Okay, Sita. How about you? What is your major field in research?
I by profession, I'm a personal development consultant and I'm a trainer as well. And I'm
Yeah.
also into motivational speaking. And currently, I'm also doing research, and I have actually I mean, I'm a research student. I wouldn't say I'm doing research right now, but I'm a research student, and I hope in the process of concluding and completing my research.
That is very interesting to hear. Um, I would like to get to know you further, but I'm afraid we have 1:30. This is the conference time. I'm afraid we have to
Yes,
start
yes, yes. You're
on
right. No,
time.
yes, absolutely. I was just waiting for the cue, and I thought till
Okay.
the time we'll speak. Sorry if we have kept you all waiting. I was just waiting to hear from you. We will start.
Okay,
Yes.
so a very warm welcome to all our participants joining us from different parts of the world. We truly appreciate your efforts in adjusting your schedules to be part of today's conference. So let's start.
Thank you.
Welcome to Eurasia Research Beijing Online Live International Conference.
If you believe you can move the high. If you believe you can move the highest mountains, cross the greatest oceans, and walk across the water. Whoa. You feel defeated, falling on your knees and looking up for some hope tonight. You try to stand up, but you throw your hands up. You no longer have the strength to fight. You've seen too many sunsets, too many days, ending in the darkest night. But on your own, you'll never know, you'll never know. If you believe you move the highest mountains, cross the greatest oceans, walk across the water. Believe you move the highest mountains, across the greatest oceans, walk across the water. If you believe, they say that all you need is faith, but it's almost like you lost your way. Took a few wrong turns, took a few breaks, falling behind now looking for grace. Cause you need someone to lift you up, yeah, make right of the things you've done. Cause on your own you'll never know, you'll never know. If you believe you move the highest mountains, across the greatest oceans, walk across the water. Believe you can move the highest mountains, across the greatest oceans, walk across the water. If you believe, if you believe, you can do anything. You can do anything. You can do anything if you believe. If you believe you can move the highest mountains, cross the greatest oceans, walk across the water. Believe you can move the highest mountains, cross the greatest oceans, walk across the water. If you believe,
Okay, so welcome to Eurasia Research International Conference. Please allow me a moment.
My name is Dr. Lynn Shelley, and I'm an executive leadership consultant, full professor retired. I am currently teaching adjunct in the executive doctoral program at Boston College in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts.
So please allow me a moment to introduce Eurasia Research to you in a nutshell. Introduction. With over more than 1 million satisfied members and associates spread across the globe, Eurasia Research is a scholarly association who have been working for nearly a decade. Eurasia Research has organized several successful international conferences, workshops, and training programs at various reputed institutions and grand venues. Eurasia has been tirelessly working for research world and have not stopped their endeavors even during difficult times and have presented research community with online platform which was safe and convenient method to continue their passion. We are an international community of researchers, practitioners, students, and educationists who aim to bring together worldwide researchers and professionals, encourage intellectual development, and to create opportunities for networking and collaboration. These objectives are achieved through academic networking, meetings, conferences, workshops, projects, research publications, academic awards, and scholarships. We provide scholarship to deserving candidates to promote students and research scholars to participate in the international conference. Young researcher scholarship is provided in the form of a full registration fee waiver. We have vast experience of publishing papers for more than 7 years. Our associated journals publish original papers, review papers, conceptual framework, analytical and simulation models, case studies, empirical research, technical notes, and book reviews. We cater to more than 30 plus themes in the area of teaching and education and have registered ISSN and have following renowned indexing. Google Scholar, Crosscheck, Authenticate, Crossref, The Keepers, Registry, Script, Portico, Road, Directory of Open Access Scholarly Resources, OAIPMH Registered Data Provider, PKP Index. We will soon be applying for Scopus 2. We have a wide network of 100 plus internationally acclaimed keynotes across the globe who share their knowledge and guidance with our participants with open hands. We have a large number of committee members and advisors who support us and guide us through their expert opinions and decision making capabilities. We could not have thought of reaching here without them. We also encourage our participants to connect with more than 15K plus followers on our social media platform where they can share their research and interests. Join our Facebook group and be a part of discussion by researchers and academicians. We also have several collaborations with universities, colleges, and institutes to better serve all interested and like-minded intellectuals. With great enthusiasm and pride, we would like to request our participants to enjoy the benefits of our lifetime membership in just USD 60. We have over 10,000 plus members from across the globe. We would like to share some of our past participants' experience with you. Thank you for your patience and valuable time. Moving forward with the conference. So, welcome to Eurasia Research Beijing Online Live International Conference. Today we have presentation and participants from 5 countries across the world. We are broadcasting this conference on YouTube live on multiple pages of Eurasia Research. The links for the live sessions are shared in the chat box. So I am the host of the conference and my name is Mrs. Kajal Sharma, Eurasia Research conference host. So, Lynn M. Shelley, she is our Terra president and higher education executive adjunct professor, Boston College, Chestnut Hill, MA, USA.
My name is Dr. Lynn Shelley, and I'm an executive leadership consultant, full professor retired. I am currently teaching adjunct in the executive doctoral program at Boston College in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts, and at the University of New England in Portland, Maine, in their doctoral program as well. I've been in the profession for 44 years as a teacher and as an administrator from grades pre-K through doctoral programs. And I consult with colleagues around the world in these areas of leadership and culture building and transformation and strategic planning. And my research is focused in areas such as that, not only in education, but crosses over into other disciplines that have common goals and common strategies that need attention and need to be moved forward in this ever-changing global.
So, ma'am, the first question, we would love to hear about your research journey, how it's going, and the projects you are handling right now.
My research, my name is Dr. Lynn Shelley. I'm president of the Eurasia Terra group, and I'm very happy to be here. I have been doing some research and starting some writing about the leadership in this new global environment, transformative leadership in the new global environment that we are living in, and hoping that this research will help current and future leaders at every level in any type of an organization. It's very interesting because of the AI connection, because of the global impact that the cultures and the variables that are happening around the world are having on every organization.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing such delightful thoughts. And ma'am, my next question would be, could you please share with which paper you are working on that in this moment?
Transformative leadership and in a global environment.
Okay, ma'am, good to know that. And ma'am, how do you manage to balance your teaching responsibilities alongside your research work as well?
Well, my balance is that I've always done work and research that I can use and apply to my administrative and consulting positions. Right now, I am an executive leadership consultant. So the research that I'm doing really applies to my role as president of Terra, but also in work that I do with colleagues that are still in practice, and I can help them along the way to enhance their leadership skills.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And ma'am, do you travel internationally as part of your research work?
I travel to the Terra conferences as the president, and usually I do a keynote. I've been in education for 44 years, every level. Most recently, the Dean of Graduate and Professional Education at LaSalle University in Newton, Massachusetts, United States. And prior to that, I was Dean of Professional Leadership Programs at Endicott College in Beverly, Massachusetts, United States. And my main travel was with Eurasia Terra as the president and keynote speakers. So that's what I have done. I've also done other conferences, but once I became president, I felt like I needed to really give my focus to the organization, to Eurasia Terra, and to be able to impact around the world. Most recently, I sat on a dissertation committee at Boston College, Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts, with a vice president from a university in Russia.
Oh,
And she was trying, her dissertation was focused on changing culture to adapt to the global world. And Olga did a fantastic job. And of course, when I have those kinds of opportunities, I talk about this wonderful organization so that we get a presence around the world.
thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for sharing the details with us. And ma'am, my last question would be, what advice would you give to early career researchers, like the beginners, and what advice would you like to give them?
The advice is multifaceted. I think that there are several things that they have to keep at the forefront of their minds. That research that they do should always be something that can impact their work, their organization, and or the world. So it has to be current. So to that point, they have to be proactive in where they're focusing their research and knowing what's happening in the world all the time in their certain professions, if you will. They have to add, they have to value add to their professions. So that would be very important. They have to have an open mind that their research, especially if it's quantitative, might not necessarily bear out the results that they want. And that's okay, because that shows what really is impacting their work and their organizations and the world. And the third thing that I would do is have them network with people and colleagues like myself and other people doing work, not necessarily in their own professions, but if it's a crossover kind of focus for research that crossovers different professions, that they network and become familiar and have standing meetings with other researchers, because that can be so rich and can help people so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving the advice, and it will be very helpful for them.
Because when you cannot resolve your
So let's move ahead. So the eminent speaker for today's conference is Professor Dr. Giljana Markovic, European Center for Peace and Development, University for Peace Est by the United Nations.
Of scholars and researchers. Well, in a nutshell, my work has been connected with exploring the paradigms of education, because education is a key asset to any country and to the world at large. Without education, we don't have development. We just cannot have development. So because I'm working at the European Center for Peace and Development, as you rightly pointed out, which is a part of the United Nations University for Peace, I'm trying to find out what kind of education is best, is most conducive to the developing countries, to any country in the world which strives to reach a higher level of development than the present one. And this is important because development allows us to live better, to produce a better education in the future cycle, and to catch up slowly but surely, to catch up with the highly developed countries of today. We do not wish to be the periphery of the world any longer. We wish to close this gap between the highly developed countries and the developing countries. And there are various things I'm exploring in this, but the form that the education as such should take is crucial. Because as you know, we all live now in the 21st century. And sometimes we are trying to close a gap, a development gap of even 200 years between our countries and the highly developed countries. So we have to be extra clever. We have to have the best method in order to achieve this. And, you know, in our century, in our day and age, knowledge is the most important form of capital. So not buildings, not machines, not equipment, but knowledge. Knowledge is the best and most important resource that we as human beings have. In order to increase this knowledge, we have to invest in education. We have to make our education efficient, and hence the new paradigm. What does the new paradigm teach us? Well, it teaches us how to use ancient philosophy and modern technology. Okay, so if we now have AI, if we now have the Moodle platforms, which are, by the way, free of charge and ideal for the developing countries and the developing world as such, if we have able teachers, excellently educated teachers and professors, then we have to devise a system which will allow these brilliant teachers to spread this efficient education to the masses of workers and employees who are going to effect this development in their countries and at the level of the global community. So we took an ancient paradigm, which was actually known, as I pointed out in my presentation, since the 12th century in China. This was the work of a famous Neo-Confucian called Zhu Xi. But this was the paradigm of self-education or learner autonomy. And it was discovered in the West only in this century in fact, in the 20th century, which is already last century. And I gave examples of two most prominent thinkers who expounded on it and made it possible and married it up with new technologies, which is what I'm researching. And that is a Frenchman and an Englishman. But the most prominent among the two is Professor David Little of Trinity College, Dublin, who said that all learning is actually autonomous learning, and that if a person wants to learn, there is no one who is going to stop him or her. They have to steal knowledge. They have to fight for this knowledge, and they have to make it their own. This is the process of cognition, which is best effected in the learner autonomy paradigm. And now what happens when you marry this up with the new technologies, you get the new technologies enabling the dissemination of this knowledge to the large student audiences. And that makes it usable and effective for developing countries. Of course, it is also effective in the highly developed countries, but there, at their best, most elite universities, it has always been present. You had tutorials. You first of all had small groups. You were teaching small classes. And you were then having individual tutorials once a week in each subject with your professor. And that was the same effect as the learner autonomy, because this professor would test your cognition and make it happen if it had not happened by reading the literature. But this is not something we can do with classes of up to 200 that we are normally teaching in poorer countries. The country where European Center for Peace and Development is situated is Serbia. It's a poor country and it's a developing country, which is situated in the heart of Europe, but it is on its path to development. We are doing our best to develop this country, Serbia, and to develop the whole of the world, because we believe that we all have the same needs, and those needs are primarily for knowledge. So this is what I'm doing, and I think it's very crucial to resolve this, to make this one grade up into a new paradigm. Because when you cannot resolve your problems in the existing world, in the existing paradigm, you have to go into a new paradigm. You have to make a takeoff into a new world and find the solutions there. So this is autonomous learning coupled with AI and with new technologies. And this is a promise for our better future as a humanity. Challenges were enormous because the research and the teaching community at universities all over the world, irrespective of where they are located, is characterized by conservatism. Professors are very, very conservative, even if they are not aware of it. So the first person who unmasked this fact was Thomas Kuhn in the 70s. He wrote a lovely little book called The History of Scientific Revolutions. And sometimes it is quite comic, but professors are so conservative that he said, there is no shift into a new paradigm until the current generation of professors retires or dies. So it was very difficult to overcome this conservatism because people wanted to teach in small classes, in the classrooms, and to be able to read the papers that their students write, not realizing how expensive this methodology was and how far out of the reach of most universities in developing countries it stands. And it was until COVID. When COVID happened, then most countries, even Oxford and Cambridge, everybody started teaching online because that was the only way to preserve life, to preserve the professors and the students. And then they started realizing really that teaching online and with new technologies is possible and could be very desirable. But this reduced this conservatism a little bit, but I had to fight very hard to remain in the teaching online orbit and using the new technologies to disseminate the knowledge to the large masses of students, even after COVID officially stopped. It is not easy, but we must persevere. If we believe firmly in what we are doing and how we are doing it and why we are doing it, then we have to stand very still and very pertinent on our standpoint, because this is for the good of all students at all ages, all over the globe. Not even the most developed countries are so rich any longer. Everybody needs to save and to have bigger effects, because everybody else will be overtaking them in development. So we cannot stand still. We cannot allow to be conservative in our approach to teaching methodologies. We have to explore the possibilities of new technologies day by day, because as you know, technologies are rapidly changing and rapidly advancing. So we have to keep up with our philosophy of teaching and to check our results. So that was, well, that is what keeps me going, because this terrible conservatism and rejection of logic is omnipresent. Nobody wants anything to change. Everybody wants the world of teaching to remain just the same as when they were studying 50 years ago. And you understand that that is not possible without heavy losses. Of course, the opportunity cost of conservatism in this respect is very high. Challenges were enormous because the research and the teaching community at universities all over the world, irrespective of where they are located, is characterized by, well, my motivation was basically the need to help humanity, the large part of human race, to develop. Because in my student days, which was in the 70s, there was a wide gap between the highly developed countries and the so-called developing countries. But unfortunately, after the 70s gap, this gap became larger and larger, deeper and deeper. The gap between the developed and the underdeveloped or developing countries has only widened and deepened in the meantime, in these decades. So I decided, after finishing my PhD, which was in 1984, I decided that I have to contribute to this fight to reduce this gap, to close this gap, to help the world to develop, especially the developing world. We had a very powerful drive. The European Center for Peace and Development had a very powerful drive towards the South-South cooperation. And I still believe that even today, the South-South cooperation, meaning using our own resources as developing countries, combining them and collaborating between ourselves, we can do a lot for ourselves. We can do a lot to close this gap. But of course, in each developing country, we have a certain number of highly educated people who were schooled and trained at the world's top universities and who come back to their homes with superior knowledge of the moment. So if we strive to find the good pedagogies, this new paradigm of education, we can spread what we learned at the highly developed countries' universities to our own universities and to our own labor force, to our own population. And this was my motivation, and it has been all my life. I came back to Serbia at the age of 23 after graduating and finishing my master at the University of Cambridge in England. And I was really full of desire to spread this knowledge to everyone that wished to study in my own country. And this is what keeps me going even today. I can see that our fight for development is equal to our fight for peace. And in turn, peace enables development, because what we need in developing countries is, first of all, peace and social peace and a harmonious developing society within our own countries and in the cooperation with the rest of the world. And for that, we need to increase our educated workers, our educated people, and the population needs to go one step higher each year and has to keep up pace with the developing countries, which is not easy, which is a big requirement, but it pays off. It pays off because now look what happened in China. Look at their development pace. Look at the development pace in many developing countries. The fastest growing economy in Europe is Malta. Malta is a small island that relies heavily on tourism, but it is the fastest growing country in this year in Europe. And do you know who is number 2 compared to the growth rate results? It's Serbia. Believe it or not, it's Serbia. You may say that Malta is not a developing country, but we could argue on that. But Serbia is definitely a developing country, but it is growing very fast. So we have to, and this is what keeps me persevering on this path. We have to know, we have to keep this knowledge, we have to increase this knowledge all the time, and we have to share it among our populations. And that will bring the development gap close one day, I hope soon. And that will make us all happier and live better. I'm so pleased to say what I think that can encourage them. Please be brave. Please understand that your ideas today are the best ones. If you're not sure, please consult with us, senior researchers, because we only have experience and we only look at the world diachronically. In that case, we can be of help to you. So consult your professors, consult your older colleagues, consult among yourselves as young researchers, but be brave. Be sure that what you feel down here in your soul and in your mind about the situation, about the existing paradigm, is a critique of this paradigm, and stick to it. Don't be discouraged. Don't be discouraged faced with conservatism of some of the older colleagues. Know that you're right. Why I'm saying that you young people are right? Because you belong to this day and age. You belong to this generation. You understand technology much better than anyone else. And you can keep up with its fast developing phase and pace. So your vision of the world and of the needs of your countries is the real one. That's the correct one. So your choice of the development paradigm or the research paradigm in your field will be excellent, but test it in conversation with professors, with your older colleagues. Test it among yourselves in your peer consultations. And don't ever be shy to present your views at the Eurasia or other world conferences, because we can give you a feedback. You see, we can tell you what we think, and then in this clash of views, a friendly clash of views, we can progress. You can increase your capacity for research results, but never give up. It's not easy. It's not instant. there are no instant solutions, but with hard work and with good feeling and with a good sense of direction, tested in conversation with your peers and your professors and your seniors, you will find the joy, the absolute joy of research and the absolute joy of development, because with research, the development of a field, of a discipline is possible. And that will contribute to the development of your countries and of the humanity of the world as a whole. That's my advice. So just be brave and be persevering. It was an excellent conference. I attended some of your conferences in the past, actually, as well. But I had some accidents. I broke my left shoulder, right arm, left ankle was injured, and the worst of all, I fell and I broke my hip and I had an operation. So I was absent from public life for about 2 years. Coming back to attend this conference was a great joy to me. It was an intellectual food. It was something that gave me back the energy to keep researching and to share views with other intellectuals, with other researchers. The feedback or the takeaway from the conference was that it is all happening. AI is here. We just have to learn how to use it. There are many questions posed nowadays. Is AI dangerous? Well, it is not actually the AI itself which is dangerous. It's the people who create, who program the AI that have to be conscientious, and they have to have humanism as their guiding force. So my takeaway from the conference was very, very inspirational. I found it a great driver to our development, personal as researchers. And I'm looking forward to the next one, because I just love to be in touch with other colleagues who do research and who strive for the good of humanity.
So moving ahead with the publication process. So moving ahead with the publication process starts once the registration process is complete. The author needs to send their papers, consent forms, and reviewer details on the email ID convener@eurasiaresearch.info. The abstracts and papers received will be first published in the conference book of proceedings online. Only the selected papers will be moved in our publication timeline. The review reports will be sent to the author once the review process is over. The final stage of publication starts after receiving the revised papers from the authors. Please note that the abstract publication process takes around 15 to 20 days after the conference dates, and full papers take around 2 to 3 months if all the editorial guidelines are followed within the given deadlines. So, please, our first keynote speaker for the day is Diana Noverani, State University of Jakarta, Indonesia. Topic: Smart Digital Herbal Literacy Application Training Towards a Scientific Indonesia of Jammu. Diana Noverani is working with the Ministry of Research and Technology as part of the Ministry of Education and Cultural Indonesia. She is a lecturer in Public Sector Reform Program Assignment, which is ISO 9001-2008, and researcher at State University of Jakarta, Indonesia. since 2008 and granted 15th years of profession badge from Indonesian government respectfully. Her accomplishments are including graduate and member of Young Leader Program. Jika 2010, the Indonesian Ministry of Research and Technologies grant year 2017. The chair associate of SICSSAM Korean Conference 2017 and the Indonesian Ministry of Research and Technologies grant year 2024 and Indonesian Ministry of Education and Cultural in Public Society Devotion grant year 2024. So, Diana, are you there?
Yes, I am here. I'm ready to
Okay.
hear my video being played.
Okay, so we will play it to just wait some time.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, participants and committee of Eurasia Research Conference, May 2023. I would like on behalf of the State University. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, participants and committee of Eurasia Research Conference, May 2020. I would like on behalf of the State University of Jakarta and Dewan Jamu Indonesia and Eurasia Research, I would like to present our paper titled Smart Digital Herbal Literacy Application Training Towards a Scientific Indonesia of Jamu, written by Diana Noviarini, Eko Arif Saifuddin, Wardoyo, Aulia Firlina, Raihana Nabila Rahmania, and Ahmad Yaman. The phenomenon of this research on the condition of herbal medicine entrepreneurs in Jakarta, particularly in Cakung district, has not received maximum protection from the DKI Jakarta regional government or the central government through community service activities. In Indonesia, there are 35,000 types of herbal medicine raw materials compared to 45,000 types worldwide. Of this amount, 1,000 tons are used annually by the herbal medicine industry for traditional healthcare and services as raw materials for the traditional herbal medicine industry, the herbal medicine industry, non-herbal medicine industries, and export needs. Based on data from the Central Statistics Statistics Agency, managed by the Ministry of Trade and covered by Dewan Jamu Indonesia branch Jakarta. The total value of Indonesian herbal medicine exports in 2021 reached $41.5 million. Exports of herbal medicine have been made to several countries, including Nigeria and Saudi Arabia. Indonesia's biopharmaceutical products importers are dominated by India, 62.31%, Singapore, 6.15%, Japan, 5.08%, Malaysia, 3.15%, and Vietnam, 3.70%. In an effort to promote the use of traditional health products, including herbal medicine, in accordance with a Sustainable Development Goal SDG number 3, namely a healthy and prosperous life, the government, however, through the Ministry of Health, issued regulations on herbal medicine scientification and established the National Herbal Medicine Scientification Commission, which works to develop activity programs to support the safe, effective, and high-quality use of herbal medicine. In implementing herbal medicine scientification activities, medical personnel involved require a reference to standardized standard procedures for service-based research at healthcare facilities in the form of guidelines. The Herbal Medicine Scientification Program emphasizes the development of herbal medicine utilization as a promotive and preventive effort without neglecting curative, rehabilitative, and palliative efforts, and still referring to scientific principles in health services. In implementing the herbal medicine scientification practice, health businesses can order herbal medicine through a digital-based herbal medicine system. This system was developed to facilitate herbal medicine needs through a digital platform. As a consequence of the use of herbal medicine and herbal medicine services, users of the Herbal Medicine Information Network are expected to provide reports by recording the production and use of herbal medicine. This digital system will remind herbal medicine entrepreneurs about raw material stock reports that must be provided before production and integrated herbal medicine orders by herbal medicine consumers, which has never been seen in the traditional health service system using herbal medicine at the national level. Number 2, the traditional healthcare and service using herbal medicine in digital application draw on empirically passed down experiences and skills that are accountable and implemented in accordance with prevailing societal norms. The youth that utilize biomedical and biocultural sciences in its explanations and its benefits and safety are scientifically proven. The need for public health services focuses on increasing healthcare efficiency. Efficient healthcare and services using herbal medicine using smart healthcare concepts explain the achievement of the smart digital herbal medicine literacy application status, which in this research has reached level 7. Through this community service activity, held by State University of Jakarta and funded by State University of Jakarta, we can identify the problems we are attempting to resolve with our target partners, including development of a digital smart herbal medicine literacy application that can potentially be used to develop regional economic potential in expanding its territory despite existing regional authorities and regulations. In regional economics, studies on economic development and growth can be used to develop a basic model for regional economic development by dividing the economy into traditional health sectors. The necessity of developing a smart herbal medicine literacy application model can be used to utilize herbal plant resources. The results of this activity are expected to make a significant contribution to regional economic growth and development, particularly in the traditional health sector in the Jakarta area. The expected solution in this faculty's community service program utilizes literature studies, analysis methods using fishbone diagrams, and design methods. The analysis method was used to examine the problems faced by the Indonesian Herbal Medicine Council Software Work Unit, as well as its management and development. The output design method utilized the following milestones. Number one, hardware specifications were identified within 2 months. Software, server, brainware, and clients were developed to design a software prototype that could resolve the problems encountered within 2 months. Software testing to verify whether the prototype software could effectively process transactions within the system within 2 months. Implementation was then carried out in the form of training for application users, in this case, stakeholders of smart herbal medicine. The research implication of this research, this community service is in the form of action research carried out by the chairman, lecturers, students, and partner members of Dewan Jamu Indonesia branch Jakarta, so that it is hoped that it can provide information to stakeholders, legislative members, regional government officials, ministry officials, community leaders, journalists, and investors regarding the benefits of digital smart herbal medicine literacy application stated in figure 2. The research results, number one, increasing the level of technological readiness begins with identifying the needs of digital herbal medicine literacy application community service by observing the herbal medicine business ecosystem. After identifying a digital herbal medicine application literacy model, design was created using PHP MyAdmin and SQL database from technology readiness level 6. Then the existing model was discussed with digital herbal medicine business stakeholder with a local hosting address. The results of the focus group discussion were revised to the digital application prototype design technological readiness level 7 using the hosting address of HTTP 10A 103.11.133 233 8080 login.php. All activities were documented in a journal to be published nationally, and the digital application prototype can be accessed by Dewan Jamu Indonesia branch Jakarta and the entrepreneurs in herbal medicine field, and the application community service report was made. In the second year, the digital smart herbal medicine literacy application prototype was meant to be implemented into the national industry. Furthermore, the implementation of community service for digital-based herbal medicine literacy application is carried out using qualitative methodology to be able to prove the benefits of using herbal medicine literacy as a preventive, promotive, rehabilitative, palliative, or curative measure as a support or for minor complaints. It should be noted that the rules of health with herbal medicine, according to its nature and characteristics, generally require long-term use, often multi-target. Herbal medicine literacy testing requires internal and external evaluation involving industry partners and universities, including, number one, the test material is a herbal medicine with an empirical story and will retain its benefits as evidenced by its empirical story. Number two, the test material has sufficient preclinical data, making it suitable for inclusion in the smart herbal medicine application literacy list. Number three, researchers have collaborated with entrepreneurs as registration for herbal medicine distribution permit at the Food and Drug Authority is carried out by herbal medicine producers as industry partners. Number four, both researchers and producers have considered the feasibility of the availability of herbal medicine raw materials. Number five, research can be conducted if approval from universities is obtained. And number 6, during the literacy application testing, universities, the National Herbal Medicine Scientific Commission, and the Indonesian Herbal Medicine Council Association, branch in Jakarta, will conduct evaluations in partner gardens with their respective duties and functions. Ladies and gentlemen, that is all our presentation from our research. I would like to thank Eurasia Research for the time and place that is available to conduct this community service program research activity. I thank you for your attention.
So thank you, Diana, for the wonderful speech. So our next keynote speaker for the conference is Sita Sagran, personal development trainer, lifestyle consultant, and motivational speaker. Topic: the power of insight. So Sita, please start.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I'd first of all like to say thank you to Eurasia Research for the warm welcome. It's always a pleasure to be here. And each time I always enjoy the opportunity of the interactions as well. So thank you.
Welcome.
So when we talk about the power of insight, the first thought that comes to our mind is, why should insight be such a subject that requires a session by itself? Let me slightly explain. Insight is a deep, clear, or sudden understanding of a complex situation or problem that reveals its true nature. So when I talk about this, I'd like to mention a small story, or rather a personal incident which was mentioned to me by a friend of mine many years ago. She had met a person during one social event, and from the time they started interacting, she was repeatedly warned, and you might ask, warned by who? Perhaps it was the insight, I'm not sure. But what happened was she was repeatedly warned that this person is not going to become anyone closer than an acquaintance. She was surprised because for over a year, the relationship between this person and my friend was extremely cordial. And she wondered why this repeated warnings she felt not to consider the other person as a friend. 3 years later, she was proven right. This person was merely an acquaintance, did not move forward from the role of an acquaintance to that of a well-wisher or a friend. So you may ask, so what does insight have in this? I would say insight did have a role because she was able to understand that this relationship is not moving forward beyond that of a mere acquaintance relationship. So let's move a little bit further about what insight truly means, and also how should we see insight as? We need to treat it as a deliberate psychological process than a random stroke of luck. Now, there are some people who would say, oh, come on, how are we able to understand that this is not just luck, or this is not something which just happened to have happened? No, we need to see it more as a psychological process. Step 2, when we talk about stages How do we discuss them and prepare ourselves for developing this ability? Preparation. When I talk about preparation as one of the key ways for us to begin understanding and acquiring this quality so that we are able to interact better, see how our relationships, see how situations can become more fruitful. The first step would be to prepare ourselves. You may ask, how do we prepare ourselves? We become more open when it comes to understanding people. We become more open to new experiences, new situations, situations that take us outside our comfort zone. How do we react to things? Why do we react to what we do? So those are some of the ways we are able to prepare ourselves. That is basically looking at ourselves, a self-examination of our thoughts and feelings to give us a better clarity. The next one is incubation. When I say incubation, it's about considering what has happened and why. Why does it give you a certain kind of feeling about what you have gone through? So whatever thoughts are there in your mind, keep it to yourself, think about it, and find out what is it that's causing you to have these emotions. Number 3, it's the insight or the sudden emergency of the solution that comes. The moment you start following these steps, you will realize that thoughts which are sudden, which are enlightening, and which are thoughts which are helping you find solutions come to you more naturally. The next one is, of course, verification. Now, how do we verify what we are thinking is correct? We verify. So if there is some thought that does come to our mind after a certain situation or interaction with someone, go over what has happened. It could be by writing down what you have experienced, but find out, is it true? What you felt, is there any logic in it? Can you consider what are the emotional triggers that that situation also created? The next one is exploring the physical, the emotional responses, and of course, sensations or any distress, discomfort before you started rationalizing them. Consider how your body is speaking. So next time when you are meeting people, you're in a situation or in an experience, what is that experience making you feel? What are the feelings, both physical and emotional, that you are feeling as you are experiencing it? The next one is asking perspectives. Be more open. So we start looking at situations by inquiring, by finding out what is it that triggered us, what are the reasons that we can see, and also be unafraid to ask questions. The next one is, of course, optimizing the physical environment that we are in. How do we do so? Prioritizing sleep is one of them. The next one is also being more engaged in activities that require you to get out of a sedentary lifestyle if you have. The next one is filtering information. What kind of information are you receiving? I would like to ask you all, how many hours or how much time do you all spend on social media? Any one of you? Anyone?
6 hours.
6 hours. Okay. All right. Thank you. I appreciate the honesty here. Yes, I think social media has this tendency to draw us into it, to draw us into what it is trying to engage you with and grab our attention as well. So this is what I'm wanting to tell you, which is filter the information that we are receiving, filter it to the extent that we are able to think about what we are observing, what we are experiencing and why does those experiences create certain physical or emotional feelings in us. And of course, the other one would be to practice passive observation. So sometimes when you are in a group, you might find some people very quiet and quietly observing. So you can be sure that many a time they are observing, they are understanding what is happening, but instead of participating, they would rather listen, understand, and form their opinion and perceptions. Now, to cultivate one's, I would say, a personal tip to developing insight would be to translate it into the behavioral change, as I mentioned, actions, and replacing it with conscious, purposeful choices. Now, what kind of choices, you may ask? Now, the choices are, of course, dependent on you. How would you like insight to help you in your life? Anybody? By developing this ability, how would you like it to help you in your life? To make decisions. I would love to hear from one of the other participants as well in the conference. Vitsanu, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correct. Yunosheva, and of course, Chitfon. I hope I'm pronouncing all your names correctly. Any one of you. How would you like the ability to be insightful help you? Perhaps I should ask one of my Eurasia Research associates. How would you like this ability to help you?
Excuse me, could you repeat your question, please?
Certainly. My question is, by developing insight, how would you like this ability to help you?
Ma'am, you can paraphrase your question.
Certainly. I think, see, basically, as I mentioned earlier, through insight, we are able to get better clarity regarding a situation or a relationship. Okay? At the same time, this is an ability which can help you not just in your personal life, but also in your professional life as well. So, any one of you, is there any specific area in your life that you find could help you better if you develop this ability to be insightful?
Understanding, like,
Understanding what?
no, I'm not able to explain, but
Yes, I think you were just about to tell me, please.
By developing insight, help us in many important ways. Because it
Yes.
improves how we understand ourselves, other people, and situations around us.
Yes, you're right. You're absolutely right. In fact, what I was looking for is probably examples in your life, but which is okay, it doesn't matter. But we'll come back to that a little later as well. But thank you for your input. So, how does insight help? Insight helps in breaking toxic cycles also as far as relationship goes. Because some relationships, they are extremely toxic. They can have a very negative influence on our thoughts, on our actions. So we are able to break away from that toxic cycle because we are more aware about how we need to manage such kind of relationships and situations. Okay. The second one is rewriting self-narratives. So when we're talking about rewriting, we are going to be looking at how did we earlier interact or how did we react in a situation before? Was that helping us? And if we find it is not helping us, clearly we need to go over a certain change with regard to how we are processing the relationship, processing the experience, and how do we choose to respond to it. So that's the other one. The number 3 is it improves communication. And when I say improving communication, I say we are more careful about what language we use. Why do we use the same language? Imagine, I'll give you an example. For example, supposing, Vitsanu, if I'm speaking to you and you're just meeting me for the first time, okay? And you are already developing this ability to be more insightful, okay? So when I'm speaking to you and I'm saying, oh, Vitsanu, how are you doing? And you are looking at exactly how am I representing myself to you. That is one way. Supposing I'm coming across and saying, Vitsanu, a pleasure to meet you. I am Sita. Now, there is a lot of differences that you would notice. And what I want to tell you is, it also reflects on how you would be reacting to me. Or supposing you're going into an office and you are seeing the receptionist. How do you choose to respond to the person? And how do you analyze how they respond to you back? So sometimes you get that feeling that no, there is probably something which is bothering that person. But sometimes you also know the person may not necessarily want to spend a lot of time talking to you. So basically, I hope I'm a little more clear now. So basically, the idea of developing insight is for us to have a better idea on how we are able to respond, interact, and successfully, as much as possible, make the best of every experience and relationship. Yes. And in business, of course, it's enabling us to know not just what is happening. Insight explains the why, in why something is happening in the business environment. It could be regarding anticipating trends, such as allowing leaders to become more aware in terms of predicting future market shifts, rather than just understanding the current ones. So that's something very brief when it comes to how in a business environment it can help us, which is very brief. So what I would like to mention here is the key to awareness, realization, and discovery is self-examination, which is your key to developing the ability to be insightful. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Many thanks, Sita, for addressing all of us with your informative and enlightening speech.
My
Please
pleasure. My pleasure. And if there are, sorry to interrupt you, if there are any questions, please feel free to ask me.
Okay. Thank you.
And I will be putting my details in the chat box. And thank you. Thank you very much, Vitsanu.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So what I will do is I will be putting my details so that any of you, you're most welcome to get back to me if you have any questions, and it would be great to be connected. Thank you very much. And unfortunately, due to another engagement, I have to excuse myself. So please excuse me from the
Yes,
conferences.
sure, ma'am. Sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a great day.
Have a great day too. Thank you. So, let's move ahead. Let's proceed towards our team building activities. Sometimes we miss the opportunity of connection and linkage with fellow participants of the conference. This team activity is to encourage interaction among all the participants. One by one, we will share the views and solutions on the topic of discussion. And also, we will be conducting a photo session during the same. So, I will request everyone to please switch on the cameras so that we can take the photo. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Wait a minute. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. So today our topic of discussion is how to stay calm under pressure. Video credit and copyrights Noah Kageyama and Pen Chen. So let's start.
Your favorite athlete closes in for a victorious win. The crowd holds its breath, and at the crucial moment, she misses the shot. That competitor just experienced the phenomenon known as choking, where despite months, even years of practice, a person fails right when it matters most. Choking is common in sports, where performance often occurs under intense pressure and depends on key moments. And yet, performance anxiety also haunts public speakers, contestants in spelling bees, and even world-famous musicians. Most people intuitively blame it on their nerves, but why does being nervous undermine expert performance? There are two sets of theories, which both say that primarily choking under pressure boils down to focus. First, there are the distraction theories. These suggest that performance suffers when the mind is preoccupied with worries, doubts, or fears, instead of focusing its attention on performing the task at hand. When relevant and irrelevant thoughts compete for the same attention, something has to give. The brain can only process so much information at once. Tasks that challenge working mental, the mental scratch pad we use to temporarily store phone numbers and grocery lists, are especially vulnerable to pressure. In a 2004 study, a group of university students were asked to perform math problems, some easy, others more complex and memory intensive. Half the students completed both problem types with nothing at stake, while the others completed them when calm and under pressure. While everyone did well on the easy problems, those who were stressed performed worse on the more difficult memory-intensive tasks. Explicit monitoring theories make up the second group of explanations for choking under pressure. They're concerned with how pressure can cause people to overanalyze the task at hand. Here, the logic goes that once a skill becomes automatic, thinking about its precise mechanics interferes with your ability to do it. Tasks we do unconsciously seem to be most vulnerable to this kind of choking. A study on competitive golfers compared their performance when instructed to simply focus on putting as accurately as possible versus when they were primed to be acutely aware of the mechanics of their putting stroke. Golfers usually perform this action subconsciously, so those who suddenly tuned in to the precise details of their own moves also became worse at making accurate shots. Choking may not be inevitable for everyone, though. Research suggests that some are more susceptible than others, especially those who are self-conscious, anxious, and afraid of being judged negatively by others. So how can we avoid choking when it really counts? First, it helps to practice under stressful conditions. In a study on expert dart players, researchers found that those who hadn't practiced under stress performed worse when anxious, compared to those who had become accustomed to pressure. Secondly, many performers extol the virtues of a pre-performance routine, whether it's taking a few deep breaths, repeating a cue word, or doing a rhythmic sequence of movements. Studies on golfing, bowling, and water polo find that short rituals can lead to more consistent and accurate performance under pressure. And thirdly, researchers have shown that having an external focus on the ultimate goal works better than an internal focus, where someone is tuned into the mechanics of what they're doing. A study of experienced golfers revealed that those who hit chip shots while focused on the flight of the ball performed significantly better than those who focused on the motion of their arms. So perhaps we can modify that age-old saying, practice under pressure, with focus, and with that glorious end goal in sight, makes perfect. For a nail-biting example of persevering under pressure, we highly recommend The Boys in the Boat. It tells the gripping true story of 9 American rowers and their quest for gold at the 1936 Olympics in Nazi Germany. You can download an audio version of this book for free at audible.com/TEDEd. Every free trial started through this link helps support TEDEd's nonprofit mission.
So our first presenter for the conference is Victoria Yunosheva, Department of Education and Math Studies, ITMO University, Moscow, Russia. Topic: Bayesian modeling of student academic performance in Chinese language learning, evaluating teacher effectiveness and identifying demotivational factors. So, Victoria.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? I'm coming through okay. I'm coming through okay. Everyone is listening to me. Hello, everyone.
Yes,
Can
I
you hear
can
me?
hear
I'm so
you.
sorry.
Yes,
Yes, very
We
clear.
can hear.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. So I will just start. Today I'm welcome to present you my education paper about the Bayesian modeling of students' academic performance in Chinese language. But now we are faced with a very big problem in my country. For instance, more and more young children want to learn foreign languages, including Chinese. And unfortunately, the majority of them cannot afford themselves to enter offline lessons. So more than half of our students are completely use online technologies to enter our lessons as well. But therefore, we're faced with the level of absenteeism is positively correlated with the language level being studied. So our young students come to our classes and faced with the problem that they just want to continue to learn because it's boring. The online video lessons for them make them feel boring and so on and so forth. So the change in the curriculum of the teacher and program also don't lead to the positive effects. So the company now charged with that and want their students to complete the program fully. So the students don't achieve their goals. The business loses money because of student absenteeism, and programs do evolve because everyone just end at the beginning level. So that is the problem when we faced with the in our school and schools. I am a teacher. So me and my colleagues from IGMO University started to investigate this problem and just want to predict the investigation question about how to predict the absenteeism of our students and how to deal with some problem. Yeah, and the investigation questions about it is how student absenteeism can be effectively predicted, what motivating factors influence on the engagement of students, and what are the main opposite demotivating factors cause students to abandon the course. I think that the majority of teachers face with some problems. Firstly, our team is just big team. We have 4 data scientists and 2 data analysts. We collected the video from our school, and that was the also obtained Zoom programs that our learners come to. When according to this video, we collected the data from the speaking time during the lesson from our students, response frequency, whether the camera were on or off during the lesson, and many other data. Additionally, we collected students from their personal accounts, for instance, their age, gender, language level, learning goals, number of homework assignments submitted, and so on and so forth. So the collected data was more than, I think that 800 parameters were analyzed. According to the statistics, we collected the data from more than 400 students from our schools, and the number of their level are presented on the screen. After the data collection, we firstly estimated whether the age students and young students from our school are different. Yes, they are different. The samples are not homogeneous. We use the Chi-Quest parameter to analyze whether they have the same attitude to the lessons, whether they have same results at the end of the lesson, or whether they have the same aim. Of course, they are not. So every part of our age students and young students we analyzed separately. On the second step, we analyze what factors are really motivation and demotivation factors according to the statistics. And if we summarize this, I would like to say that the most important absenteeism prediction parameters for children are from 7 up to 15 years old are, of course, low organization of parents and low self-organization, low attendance and low purposeful study. While if we are talking about the adults, their key absenteeism drivers are low regularity, skipping lessons, and not purposeful study. According to this data, we created the prediction mechanism that estimate whether these parameters are high or low and what absenteeism level is riskful for the person who wants to go on. And for instance, this model signalizes for us whether the student want to leave on or just want to go on. That is why our model just now influenced in the our program, and according to the statistics, the absenteeism level in our lessons and in our schools are just lower twice in the if we are talking about the last month. It really works. So we proposed a Bayesian theoretical model framework to identify the key success factors while in language learning. The method is based on Bayesian inference, and we just can calculate whether factors are important for each person separately. And for now, we have just got the result from many schools. One of them you can see on the slide. This is one of our unicorn schools, which are very popular in Russia, in Kazakhstan, in Mongolia, and they just see the results of this program and see the results of how to predict absenteeism during the learning process. So this is my study, and of course I have 1-2 questions to the researchers that also could face the same problem. How do you deal with students' absenteeism, and what mechanisms do you use to predict student absenteeism in low desire to learn? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Victoria. That was an excellent and well-organized presentation. Thank you for sharing your ideas with us.
Yeah, thank you.
So please put your questions in the chat box. It will be answered by the speaker. Let's move ahead. So our next presenter for the conference is Vitsanu Supandi, Engineering Science College, King Mongkut's University of Technology, Thonburi, Thailand. Topic: Effects of a high school-led academic camp on elementary students' science learning motivation, a pre-test, post-test, quasi-experimental study. So, Vitsanu, please start your presentation.
Excuse me. Everyone see my presentation slide? Okay, thank you. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. First of all, may I introduce myself again? My name is Vishnu Supandi from King Mongkut University of Technology, Thonburi, Bangkok, Thailand. Today, I would like to present my education research on the topic, the effect of a high school lead academic camp on elementary students' science learning motivations. This study is a pretest post-test crazy experiment study. Okay, this is a presentation outline of my presentations. So let's start with the first part of my presentation. Elementary school students are an important foundation for the future workforce in science and innovations. Early learning experience can shape student inspirations, awareness, and positive attitude towards science, which rather influence their motivation and future career interests. Okay, however, science learning in many schools is still mainly teacher-centered and may not strongly engage students. Previously, studies suggest that activity-based learning and peer-led learning can increase participation and motivation of students. So, this study investigates the effect of a high school lead academic camp on elementary students' science motivations, awareness, self-efficacy, and attitudes towards science using a pretest post-test design. Okay, from this breakdown, previous study have suggested that academic camp may be an effective approach to increase student engagement and motivation in science learning. Academic camp provide interactive learning experience beyond the regular classroom and encourage active participations. Moreover, the research also show that this camp can improve academic performance, strengthen student engagement, and increase interest in STEM and future science-related career. In addition, well-designed camps help develop both academic knowledge and real-world skills. Therefore, these findings support the idea that a high school lead academic camp could be a main functional strategy to enhance elementary student science learning experience and motivations. Okay, the next slide. Besides the role of academic camp, another important concept behind this study is peerless learning. The peerless learning allows students to learn collaborative by teaching and supporting one another rather than learning only from the teacher. Previous study found that this approach can improve academic performance, increase motivation and engagement, and is especially effective in STEM education. In addition, structured peer learning based model helps students develop both knowledge and collaborative skills. Therefore, combining academic camp with peer learning may create a more engaged and supportive science learning environment for elementary school students. And build on the concept of academic camp and peer learning, this study focusing on science learning motivation as the main outcome of the camp. Science learning motivation refers to the factor that encourage students to engage and persist in science learning. In this study, motivation in examined show 5 dimensions such as intrinsic motivation, extrinsic motivations, science self-efficacy, interactive in science learning, and attitude towards science. Previous studies have shown that active and collaborative learning environment can strengthen this aspect and improve student engagement in science learning. Therefore, these dimensions were used to evaluate the effectiveness of high school lead academic camp in this research. Okay, let's move to the next slide. Now, let's look at the design of learning process, which is structured into 7 steps. First, start with the reactive survey was conducted with 53 elementary school student participation to gather baseline data on their science motivation. Second is an eye-breaking sessions. This session held the child relax and bond with their high school mentor. And the third is the main activity, the core of our camp. Students rotate through 360-minute stations, hands-on activity, building that. Next, collaborative activity. The student will play in capture phone games. And the last one is science learning through an assist-based science show. And the fourth and fifth, we wrap up the camp with a second eye-breaking session to reduce figure, followed by a summarization for reflection and knowledge consolidation. And finally, step 6 and 7, a post-activity survey was administered to measure change, and the results were processed through data analysis for statistical interpretation. This overall process ensures a well-rounded and measurable learning experiment. So the next is the research design. The research design focusing on participation and procedure. For the participant, our study includes 53 elementary school students, include 26 boys and 27 girls, aged ranging between 7 and 8 years old, all with moderate science background and no prior camp experience. For the procedure, the research procedure follows 5 systematic phases. The first one began with a pre-activity survey to measure their baseline interest across 5 dimensions such as intrinsic motivations and science self-efficacy. This was followed by the ice-breaking activity to reduce social barrier. The core of The core was the main activity consists of hands-on, collaborative, and science learning station. After completing the camp, we conduct the summary of the activity for student reflection. Finally, we administrate the identical post-activate survey to measure change. All correct data were then analyzed using the PAT test. Okay, for the data analysis, data correction and analysis focus on student self-assessment. Okay, for the instruments, we evaluate 5 key dimensions that I tell you already. Okay, and this is the result of my study. If you look the bar charts, the result of our student self-assessment, as you can see from the chart, 4 of 5 motivation factors show an impressive and statistical significant increase. Instinctive motivation nearly double, jumping from 1.98 to 4.09. We see similar substitutions growth in science self-efficacy, interaction in science learning, and attitude towards science, which are all post-activity score reaching around 4 out of 5. However, there is one interesting exception. The average score of extrinsic motivation actually decreasing, dropping from 306 down to 2.09 after the camp. So this result demonstrates that our camp successful shift student motivation from being driven by external rewards to developing genius, internal passion, and confidence in science. Okay, in conclusions, the fact our study proved that a high school leads academic camp effectively promotes science learning motivations, awareness, and attitudes among elementary students. Why does it work? It creates a pressure-free, peerless environment. Learning from high school senior instead of teacher remove the unusual class pressure. This makes the young participant feel more comfortable to ask questions, try the new thing, and build confidence. For the future implications, I think this framework is a powerful alternative instructional strategy. It not only boosts early passion for science, but can also be adapted to another academic subject in the future. That brings me the end of the presentations. Thank you for your listening. Who have any question?
So thank you so much for addressing a wonderful presentation.
My statistical that's used in this experiment is the PATI test because I need to determine the average score of each dimension compared with before do the camp and after do the camp. So I use PATI test to compare the mean before and average of the experiment. This is the statistical that I use in this experiment. Yes.
Okay, thank
You're
you. I did
welcome.
understand.
Yes.
So please put your questions in the chat box and it will be answered by the speaker. Let's move ahead with the conference. Anyone, any question? Okay, let's move ahead.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Most welcome. So our next presenter for the conference is Chitphon Yachulavet Punakon, Engineering Science College, King Mongkut's University of Technology, Thonburi, Thailand. Topic: a scenario-based learning approach to study
Okay.
the effectiveness of economic knowledge in simulated monetary policy making process. So, Chitpon, please start your presentation.
Okay, thank you. Let me share. Uh, okay. Can you see?
Yes, your skin is visible.
Uh-huh. Okay. Okay. Can I start first? Okay. For my research title is the sorry. I mean, I introduce myself. My name is Chitpon Yachuravet Kunakon from the Engineering Science classroom or college of King Mongkut University of Technology, Thonburi, Thailand. I am the senior high school to teach in the social study and economic course. Okay. For the research title is a scenario-based learning approach to study the effectiveness of economic knowledge in simulated monetary policy making process. Okay, according to my research title that I already just mentioned, this is the research background. Actually, you can see in the two parts on the left and the right. Okay, on the left is like to be the traditional economic course that I teach students in grade 10 student. It's normally usually used in terms of lecture-based learning. By study about the economic course and the fundamental of economics. So I developed the traditional based learning or the traditional approach into the scenario based learning. We can call the scenario based in simulated situation. What is the simulative situation? The simulative situation is like to be the simulative incident or the event that I give to students and encourage them to use the knowledge or to use the knowledge content that they study to cope or to uh, solve in this problem. Okay, because in the grade 10 student, they have to study either monetary policy and fiscal policy, right? So I will give them the assignment that they have to use and apply this knowledge content into the into to cope and to solve with any problem that I give to them, such as in the about the financial crisis. So that's why I call it as the scenario-based learning approach too. Okay, for the literature review, or related study, first is economic cost and monetary policy. This is the essential knowledge content that this participant they have to study. Okay. Second, scenario-based learning. Actually, the scenario-based learning and simulative-based learning is quite similar. In the field of economic education, both scenario-based learning and simulation-based learning have been increasingly recognized as an effective pedagogy strategy for moving instruction beyond the traditional lecture to more active applied learning environment. So that's why I use this approach into this research and to share a bit about how to teach them through the situation. So it can be created into the overall framework like this in this slide. Okay, it starts from in the left, in the lecture class on the topic of world financial crisis. It's like to be a 30-minute of short lecture about the world financial crisis in the past time, and then it's a step of the scenario simulative monetary policy making. By the first step of this process is reviewing through Kahoot application or Kahoot website in order to make sure that they understand about the ratio that I teach them. It's like to be the quiz only maybe 10 score. And then I give them the assignment to do a monetary policy, so simulative financial crisis in classroom. I will give them about the simulative situation. For example, the trade war, about the supply, oversupply situation, or any financial crisis. And then they have to apply their knowledge content, such as about the monetary policy, fiscal policy, in order to create the monetary policy in the last through the presentation and in the multimedia approach. So this is my overall framework, and for the last, they have to present in the classroom. Okay, this is the overall framework. And for the research design, actually, the participant is about 28 students in grade 10, student of the engineering science college. All participants, they have to pass and study about the fundamental of economics, monetary policy, fiscal policy, and case study of financial crisis first, and then they have to use and apply the knowledge into this learning approach in the next step too. Okay, this is a picture of procedure. Since from the left is a lecture process, and then it's a Kahoot. Yes, it's a rank of Kahoot, only 10 question, and then our students, they have to brainstorm and work collaboratively in group in order to create a monetary policy. And for the last is an example of presentation that they create. Okay, for the data correction and data analysis, it can be comprised of two criteria. For the first is the learning achievement by teacher evaluation. Is assessed by the teacher or instructor to assess about their knowledge about the key concept of economics and about the critical thinking. And for the second is the self-assessment from their own to assess themselves about the understanding of basic economic concept to compare before and after. And next is about the knowledge content about some economic data that they have to study, such as a differential rate, inflation rate, and interest rate. From this data, they have to use and to present in their assignment. And next is about the comparative self-assessment to compare before and after about the understanding of monetary policy. And for the last is the 21st century skill that they believe or we can call as the 4C skill. Okay, for the learning achievement from the teacher evaluation, you can see from the statistic, they can develop most in the critical evaluation, because from the simulative situation that I give to them, they quite to use this skill as the most. So that's why they practice more than the other skill too. Same as the before and after. This is a self-assessment score. You can see it's quite show the significant difference before and after in each criteria. For the first is about the understanding of basic economics, knowledge of differential, inflation, and interest rate, and about the understanding of monetary policy. They can practice more. This is the self-assessment that all participants to assess themselves after they finish this class. Okay, same as this table. This is a pie chart. we show. And for the last is the assessment of development of 21st century skill that they practice more. Most of the skill that they practice and develop is critical thinking, about 22 percentage of the most, because in this assignment, they have to criticize more than the other skill in this. So this is my research. So the conclusion, I hope that this learning approach can be applied to the other course, uh, except in economic. It can be applied to the other subjects, science, language, or the other course. And this scenario-based learning can reduce the boredom or the traditional method of learning. So this is the conclusion and the discussion. Thank you. Have any question?
Thank you so much for the wonderful job. Your explanation was clear and easy to understand.
Okay,
Thank you
thank
so much.
you.
Anyone, any question? Okay, let's move ahead with the
Thank you so
conference.
much.
So our next presenter for the conference is Chen Xiao Lin, Graduate Institute of Human Resource Management, National Tsinghua University of Education, Tsinghua, Taiwan. Topic: the impact of remote work arrangements on work engagement, the mediating role of job autonomy.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chen Lian. This is my research title, The Impact of Remote Work Arrangements on Work Engagement, the Mediating Role of Job Autonomy. And this is the table of contents. And the first is abstract and keywords. Driven by digitalization and a post-pandemic era, remote work has gradually become a normalized human resource management strategy for organizations. This study aims to examine how remote work arrangements influence employees' job involvement through job placement. A questionnaire survey method was adopted and 117 valid responses were collected. Structural equation modeling was applied for data analysis. These results indicate that remote work positively affects job autonomy, while job autonomy further enhances employees' job involvement, serves as a significant mediating variable between the two concepts. The findings help organizations better understand the psychological and behavioral effects of remote work arrangements and provide practical implications for future organizational policy design. And now it's about research background and research problem. With rapid digital development and intensified global competition, organizations increasingly require flexible work arrangements. Since COVID-19, remote work has become widely adopted as a key operational strategy. While prior research shows that remote work can enhance autonomy, flexibility, job satisfaction, job involvement, excessive reliance on it may weaken employees' psychological connection and reduce interaction with the organization. Therefore, this study aims to further examine the relation between remote work and job involvement, and to investigate whether job autonomy plays an important mediating role in this relationship, thereby addressing the gap in the literature regarding insufficient exploration of mediating mechanics. Now is definitions of research variables. First is work from home. Remote work refers to a work arrangement in which employees use information and communication technologies to complete job tasks outside traditional office settings. This mode emphasizes flexibility in both time and location, allowing employees greater freedom in how they perform their work. The next one is job autonomy. Job autonomy refers to the degree of freedom and discretion employees have in scheduling their work, determining task methods, and organizing work processes. Higher autonomy enhances employees' sense of control and responsibility and contributes to greater intrinsic motivation. And the third one is job involvement. Job involvement refers to the extent to which employees psychologically identify with and participate in their work. It reflects the degree to which individuals regard their work as an important source of self-worth. Higher job involvement indicates that employees place greater importance on their work and are more willing to invest effort and time. Literature review. The first one is self-determination theory. This study is grounded in self-determination theory. Stacy and Ryan propose that individuals have their basic psychological needs, autonomy, competence, and relatedness. When these needs are satisfied, intrinsic motivation and positive behaviors are enhanced. In organizational settings, job autonomy is considered a key psychological resource that fosters employees' intrinsic motivation and in turn increases their job involvement. And this is about remote work and job involvement. Some studies suggest that remote work enhances employees' flexibility in time management and work arrangements, thereby improving job involvement. For example, Parents America found that remote workers demonstrate higher involvement due to greater flexibility. Bruno and Fortin also argue that remote work can increase autonomy and intrinsic motivation, leading to stronger job involvement. However, other studies present mixed findings. As community and others indicate that fully remote work doesn't necessarily improve job involvement. Its effect depends on appropriate flexibility and organizational support. Similarly, Pensola and other researchers argue that the lack of informal interaction and social connection may reduce employees' psychological involvement. So, the remote work has a positive effect on job involvement. And now it's about mediating role of job autonomy. According to self-determination theory, higher perceived autonomy and work enhances intrinsic motivation and job involvement. Remote work provides employees with greater flexibility in terms of time and location, thereby increasing their sense of job autonomy. Jing and other researchers noted that flexibility work arrangements allow employees greater discretion in task education and execution. Well, Genje and Daisy argue that satisfying the need for autonomy contributes to higher levels of employee involvement. Based on these perspectives, this study proposed that remote work may enhance employees' job autonomy, which in turn increases their job involvement. And this is my research framework. Now it's about research methodology and data collection. This study targeted full-time employees with experience in remote or hybrid work arrangements, requiring at least 6 months of remote work experience. Data were collected through an online questionnaire distributed via Google Forms and recruited through Facebook, card, email, and the researcher's personal network. A total of 134 questionnaires were distributed, and after including complete and illegible responses, 117 valid responses were obtained. The sample showed a slightly higher proportion of females than males. The majority agreed between 26 and 35. The main industries represented were healthcare, education, and information and communication. Regarding the instruments, the remote work scale was adapted from Ben Gurry and other researchers. Job autonomy was measured using the scale developed by Quinn and States, and job involvement was measured using the scale developed by Kenungo. All items were set using a 5-point Likert scale. And now it's about the statistical analysis and results. This study first employed exploratory factor analysis to examine the construct validity of the measurement scales, followed by complementary factor analysis and structure equation modeling to test the hypothesis. EFA result indicating that all items loaded onto their expected vectors without significant cross-loading issues. Total explainers was 51.7%, suggested good construct validity of the measurement model. All items clearly loaded onto their expected vectors without any cross-loading issues, indicating that the measurement skills used in the study demonstrate good construct validity and vector independence, making them appropriate for subsequent SEM analysis. In the CFA model fit assessment, the results showed CFA equals is 0.819 and TOI is 0.803, and the RMSEA is 0.086 and HRMI is 0.08, indicating marginally accept model fit. The results are ABE and HTML analysis further suggested acceptable convergent validity and satisfactory discriminatory among constructs. Regarding hypothesis that the H1 was not supported, and the direct effect of remote work on job involvement was not statistically significant. However, H2 was supported as job autonomy had a significant positive effect on job involvement, and remote work had a significant indirect effect on job involvement through job autonomy. And we can see the analysis and the results here. And this is discussion and conclusion. The result of this study indicate that remote work doesn't directly enhance employees' job involvement, suggesting that flexibility in work location alone is insufficient to increase psychological involvement without adequate organizational support. The action mechanism is a sense of relatedness. Employees may still experience feelings of isolation and psychological distance, which can reduce their level of involvement. However, the findings also reveal a significant mitigation effect of job autonomy, indicating that when remote work gives employees sense of control and autonomy over their tasks, it can indirectly increase the job involvement. This result is consistent with self-determination theory. The further highlights and the importance of autonomy in remote work management. Overall, this study emphasizes that the effectiveness of remote work doesn't stem from where work is performed, but rather from whether the system truly satisfies employees' psychological needs. If organizations can design how autonomy work arrangements and supportive systems, they are more likely to enhance employees' involvement and job performance. And now it's about the practical applications. The findings of this study suggest that when implementing remote work policies, organizations shouldn't focus solely on providing flexibility in work location, but also place greater emphasis on employees' sense of autonomy in their work. Managers should enhance employees' intrinsic motivation and sense of responsibility by granting greater discretion in task planning and execution through appropriate system design and the leader practice. In addition, the benefits of remote work do not emerge automatically. They depend heavily on whether organizations provide sufficient support, trust, and communication mechanics. Therefore, companies should develop management systems centered on empowerment, support, and flexibility, and design differentiated approaches based on the various job roles and team characteristics to improve the effectiveness of remote work engagements. In the context of ongoing post-pandemic transformation and digitalization, integrating remote work systems with high autonomy job design can help organizations enhance resilience, employee engagement, and long-term competitiveness. The last is about future research suggestions. Future studies may further cooperate other psychological variables such as relatedness and competence to more comprehensively examine the effects of remote work and employee behavior. In addition, longitudinal or mixed method approaches could be adopted to strengthen causal inferences. Moreover, differences in the effects of remote work across various industries and cultural contexts are also further investigation. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chen Xiaolin, for the presentation. So next presenter for the conference is Yu Jia Chen, Graduate Institute of Human Resource Management, National Tsinghua University of Education, Tsinghua, Taiwan. Topic: Ease of doing research and contributions to research output and impact, a registered systematic review protocol.
And today I would like to share my research titled The Effects of Hybrid Work Models on Employee Innovative Behavior, the Mediating Role of Job Autonomy. This is the table of contents. First, I would like to discuss abstract. In the context of digitalization and the post-pandemic era, hybrid work has gradually become a common human resource management strategy. Organizations are no longer only concerned about where employees work, but also whether different work arrangements influence employees' performance and innovative behavior. Therefore, this study mainly examines whether hybrid work affects employees' innovative behavior and whether job autonomy plays a mediating role in this relationship. This study adopted a questionnaire survey method and analyzed the data using structural equation modeling, or SEM. The findings show that hybrid work positively enhances job autonomy, and job autonomy further improves employees' innovative behavior. In addition, job autonomy has a significant mediating effect between hybrid work and innovative behavior. Next, I would like to discuss the research background. With rapid technological development and increasing global competition, organizations are facing greater demands for flexibility, During the COVID-19 pandemic, remote and hybrid work became essential for maintaining business operations. As a result, hybrid work developed from a temporary solution into a formal organizational policy. However, previous studies have reported mixed findings regarding the relationship between hybrid work and innovation. Some researchers argue that hybrid work increases flexibility and autonomy, allowing employees to explore and experiment more freely, which promotes innovative behavior. Others suggest that excessive remote work may weaken organizational cohesion and reduce collaboration, potentially limiting innovation. Therefore, this study aims to explore how hybrid work influences innovative behavior through the psychological mechanism of job autonomy. Next, I will explain the major research variables. The first variable is hybrid work, which refers to employees alternating between office-based and remote work arrangements. Hybrid work emphasizes flexibilities in work location, communication methods, and time arrangements. The second variable is job autonomy, which refers to the degree of freedom employees have regarding their work methods, schedules, and decision-making. According to the job characteristic model, autonomy can improve intrinsic motivation, responsibility, and job satisfaction. The third variable is innovative behavior, which includes idea generation, idea promotion, and idea implementation. Employees are expected not only to create new ideas, but also to gain support for them and transform them into practical outcomes. Next, I will discuss the literature review. This study is mainly based on self-determination theory proposed by Deci and Ryan. The theory suggests that people have three basic psychological needs: autonomy, competence, and relatedness. When these needs are satisfied, individuals are more likely to develop intrinsic motivations and proactive behavior. In organization setting, job autonomy is an important source of intrinsic motivation. Therefore, employees with greater autonomy are generally more willing to engage in creative and innovative activities. Based on previous literature, this study proposes two hypotheses. First, hybrid work assertively affects innovative behavior. Second, job autonomy mediates the relationship between hybrid work and innovative behavior. Regarding research methods, this study enlisted the research framework. And next, the research methods and data collection. Regarding research methods, this study targeted full-time employees with at least 6 months of hybrid work experience. Data were collected through online questionnaires distributed via Facebook, Gcar, email, and personal networks. A total of 124 questionnaires were collected, and 117 valid responses remained after data cleaning. Most participants were between 26 and 35 years old, and the majority worked in healthcare, education, and information technology industries. In terms of research instruments, all variables were measured using established schedules with 5-point Likert scales. Hyperwork was measured using the remote work scale. Job autonomy was measured using ring and stance, and innovative behavior was measured using Scott and Blue's innovative work behavior score. Next, I will discuss the statistical analysis and results. This study first conducted EFA to construct validity and then used SEM for hypothesis testing. The results showed that all items noted clearly onto their expected constructs, indicating the construct validity. Regarding hypothesis testing, the results revealed that hyperwork has a significant positive effect on innovative behavior, supporting H1. In addition, hyperwork significantly enhanced job autonomy, and job autonomy further positively influenced innovative behavior. The mediation analysis also confirmed that job autonomy significantly mediated the relationship between hyperwork and innovative behavior, supporting H2. Next, I will move on to the discussion and conclusion. The findings suggest that the positive effect of hyperwork on innovation is not simply by changing work locations, but by enhancing employees' sense of autonomy. When employees have greater control over their work, they are more likely to develop intrinsic motivation and engaging in innovative activities. This study also supports the perspective of self-determination theory, which emphasizes that satisfying employees' autonomy can promote exploration and innovative behavior. In terms of practical implications, organizations implementing hyperwork systems should focus not only
So let's move ahead with the conference. So our next presenter for the conference is Xin Yi Wang. Graduate Institute of Human Resource Management, National Tsinghua University of Education, Taiwan. Topic: Sleep quality and innovation behavior. Creative self-efficacy as a mediator and self-oriented perfectionism as a moderator. Xin Yi Yuang, are you there? Okay, I think you are not present with us. So let's move ahead with the conference. Our next presenter for the conference is P. Rong Lu, Graduate University of Human Resource Management, National Tsinghua University of Education, Taiwan. Topic: Early job adaptation challenges of new employees in Taiwan's hardware retail sector. So P. Rong Lu is also not present with us. So let's move forward with the conference. Our next presenter for the conference is Xue N. Chen, Department of Human Resource Management, National Tsinghua University of Education, Tsinghua, Taiwan. Topic: The relationship between workplace friendship and employee engagement. The mediating effect of perceived organizational justice. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. With a great pleasure and enthusiasm, I would like to conclude that the conference was a great success. Many people have contributed in different ways to turn this event into a smoothly running conference with very interesting presentations. This conference has resulted in good discussion and networking. I owe my gratitude to all the presenters and patient listeners, to the coordinators and the whole staff of Eurasia Research for their constant support. I would also like to thank all the universities and institutes who have sponsored our participants and people who have directly or indirectly contributed in the smooth conduct of this conference. Thank you so much.